Thank you so much for having me. And today, I will be presenting on the whole area of how to move from one's main career to encore career or retirement. Uh, Hi, Reed with What's Next Coaching. And I wanted to go over for about 15 or 20 minutes the work that I do and some tips and suggestions that can help anybody who is going through this major transition. You know, we used to call it retirement, and now really it's so much more than just about the money. And when people think of retirement, the word, they often think of it just as having enough money. But in my work, one of the things that I advise clients is that the money is the means to the end. So I want to talk overview today of the areas and what I'm going to be discussing, and always love questions and comments as well. It impacts all of us so much. So I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and sort of what is coaching, and the whole idea of the transitions that we all go through, as I mentioned before, separate from sort of the traditional retirement model. And then look at sort of all those areas that make up life, not just in times of retirement, but other areas as well. It's been very helpful to me. And then this whole some suggestions looking at midlife and later transitions, some things to think about, and I have some resources as well. So just a little bit about me. I've been married about 21 years, and I have a 20-year-old who's in college, and I'm a musician, and I love doing sing-alongs, playing guitar, and I have an interest in volunteering. I used to work with county government, and I ran the volunteer center. I worked with AARP. So the bottom line is that I was a senior manager with nonprofits in my career. And then, you know, my story is a little maybe similar to some of you, where after doing that, as I got older, I really started thinking to myself, you know, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Because around 58 or so, I started thinking about that my life really wasn't going to last forever. It's funny how that happens, but I just was like, wow, I want to do something different than be a manager at a nonprofit. And I enjoyed it. It was great. But so I went into my own encore career, which is this area, which I have a lot of passion about. And I was a psych major when I was an undergrad all those years ago. So I wanted to just explain for a second about this whole thing about what is coaching. And people have a general idea about it in the sports analogy of, you know, a regular coach. So coaches who work with people are really helping to address both inner challenges, things that get in the way, reservations and judgments people have about themselves, as well as the outer challenges. So it's true, when you lose a job or you have a health setback, what are the steps you're going to take to move forward? And so it's a combination of those two areas. And coaching is all about getting results, and it's all about looking forward to address the challenges that lie ahead, or the opportunities as well. And one of the things that I do, for example, and other coaches, we have a variety of assessment tools and other resources that can be useful to helping a client to figure out what area and how they want to move forward. The coach also is someone who believes in the client, and also that the client has the power to and the insights to decide what's right for them. And it's different than therapy, which we don't address family of origin issues. We look at what are the things that are getting in the way and the thoughts right now, and then how can we move forward in that area. Now, the other thing I wanted to sort of move forward in terms of our little presentation today is, what are those areas of life that we all at any age are dealing with, and then from there I want to address each one of them specifically just a little bit, give you a little taste of it. Here's the headline for me, is that when you actually look at all areas of life, um, I think most people probably see, oh, there's something that I'm really not addressing. It's hard to sort of keep track of everything. So as you can see in the screen, these six key quality of life arenas. You have the career, you have your health, finances, family and relationships, social lifestyle, and personal development. These are the main areas. And underneath each one of these areas, there are a variety of sub areas. And I'll be showing that to you. So, retirement, I wanted to step back for a second and just mention that things have changed. Our generation, anyone who is, say, age 50, 55, you were boomers and later. And our parents, the idea was that you worked really hard, and then once you retire, you sort of take it easy and relax. And this idea of retirement really was spawned through the Industrial Revolution, and the idea that people needed to leave positions because people who are younger needed to come in. It sort of was this idea of just, you're going to now retire, you're leaving, you're moving on to this place of less activity. Nowadays, the research is showing that most people don't just retire, and so these terms have come up. I came up with the term redesirement, but refirement, rewirement has been used. People talk about having an encore career. Um, you know, the traditional way, when someone says, "Hey, how you feeling about retirement?" Someone would say, "Well, I'm looking forward to it. Boy, I've been working so hard, and it'll be nice to be able to relax." Um, and now, really, what's more, people might ask is, "So, what's your next move? What are you going to do now?" So the idea, what I've found in working with clients, is the bottom line is that to continue having a healthy life moving forward, it's staying active, it's giving back, and having purpose. And that's so critical and important. I'm not going to go through all these statistics here, but it's just amazing how many people who are over the age of 50 are working, are doing part-time careers or part-time positions, sometimes due to necessity and sometimes because they just like being active and involved. And the other thing that's quite stunning and amazing is, when you think about back in the early 70s, the average man only lived to 67 years old. Today, the average man is living to 83, and women are living to 86. So if you're retiring in your early 60s, you've got a lot of years left, many more years than you want to just be recreating, so to speak. So here is the main slides right now that, the main arenas that I'm just putting out for you to take a look at. So you have the career and work, and you can look at all the various parts of what that entails. And then health and wellness. And these are the sort of, to what degree are you ready in these particular areas? And the finances, which is knowledge and planning and confidence, and the family relationships. Looking at your level of readiness in these particular areas is really important. Social and leisure, and then I'm sorry, I think my video might be covering up personal development on the right side. But when you take a look at your whole life, sort of, to what extent are you checking off these boxes? Now, some of us may not be interested in some of these areas, or maybe our parents have passed away. We don't have that issue. But the fact is that I know for me, I have certain leisure activities I do, but I sort of wish I could do more. And on the health, I sort of ebb and flow between exercising in a more vigorous way and not. So I'm just going to mention that, career and work benefits are huge. And with a colleague I work with, she came up with a I'm not going to mention the whole thing, but a whole list of sort of what work does provide. And the bottom line is that so much of our work ties into our identity, and especially for men, but also for women. But work also provides socialization, it provides structure, obviously, it provides income, it provides self esteem in terms of feeling like you're solving something. So there's just a lot that work provides. And so when somebody leaves a main career, it could be a huge hole. And as many of us have experienced, leaving a job doesn't mean that all those people and all those uh, benefits are portable. They just aren't. Um, Now, healthy living, I'm not going to mention too much on this. We all know this uh, in the healthy living area, but it's harder than we would like to be able to be taking care of ourselves in a way that will allow us to live a healthy life. When I go out and speak to groups like this one, one of the main areas that triggers people the most is, well, if I don't have my health, everything else is sort of irrelevant. And it's ironic because we need our health, but many of us, something like 40% of Americans over age 60 are overweight. So while we may think it's important, there's something that's stopping us from staying healthy. Now, I don't cover only in a general sense here, this finance and insurance. And of course, I hope everybody here is working with a wealth manager, financial planner, to look at these of their finances and what goes into that in terms of having the knowledge and the planning and then the confidence that you'll be able to have enough as you move forward. But like I said in the beginning, it's really about the financial planning, and having enough money ties into one's overall life. So, and of course, they both complement each other, and that you obviously you're not going to be flying on a private charter jet if you don't have those finances to do that. But obviously, if you plan and accordingly, you can live within your means financially and then through your life. And then relationships, something that's often not really thought about. Uh, and the idea here is that not only in family, but in terms of extended friends, what are you doing to keep those relationships active and alive? And as we get older, for many of us, I mean, myself included, it's harder to make friends as you get older. And so to what extent are you keeping up and keeping connected? And I'd throw community in there as well as something to note. In social and lifestyle. So the hobbies and the things that you're interested in. I had a client recently who was a corporate person out of Chicago, and he said, I don't really, I only play golf. That's the only thing I do, and that was really related to work. I don't really know what I would do after I finish up my career. So a time prior to retiring or moving into a different phase or transition in life is to start thinking about that and exploring those different areas. And then personal development. The area that I love, thinking about life meaning and what's really important for people as they move forward. And a lot of that ties into purpose. Whether you decide to be a caregiver or a great grandmother or grandfather, or to do an encore career, or to be a painter, or to volunteer, that the research shows that people who invest in specific areas where they feel they have purpose and do have purpose fare much better. And that sort of ties in line with volunteering. Um, the other thing is that, there's a lot of thinking now about how things can get mixed up. So it used to be, you go to school, you work, and then you relax. And now think about like lifelong learning, that hopefully we're learning throughout our life, and being able to take classes and participate in in lifelong learning. There's been a whole movement, of course, in adult learning and on college campuses. Uh, and so that's a great thing. So I just had a couple of suggestions that I thought might be useful, and I would love people also to give some of their own thoughts as well at the end of the presentation if you're interested in that. So the one thing is in terms of making exploring one's future. The idea is that you are um, experimenting and trying new things. So this is the steps that came up. A guy by the name of Richard Leiter and Alan Weber came up with, which took hold about, oh, I don't know, 8, 10 years ago. But it's the idea that if you're just as when you were a young person, you thought, oh, what do I want to do when I grow up? Oh, well, I could be an engineer, or I could, oh, no, maybe what I want to do is be a musician. Blah, blah, blah. That to use these steps, which is really in a circular motion, to reflect, connect, to explore, and to choose, select, think about it, and then plan and act. And one of the things I like about Leiter's approach is that in the early stages, connect, that second stage, the idea is really to talk to friends and family and bounce ideas off people. So here's something I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about sailing around the world, and I've always wanted to do that. And what do you all think about that? And get people's feedback as they listen and hear. But it could be not just a task. It could be something, I want to go and live in a monastery for a year, or it could be anything. And to hear from those that care about you. So the thing I think it's so interesting that we tend to, as humans, live in our comfort zone, and the idea is to try new things. And we tried lots of new things when we were younger, and then sort of things happened. We got in a career, and it seemed like the major changes that happened were when we changed jobs, had kids, hopefully didn't get divorced, but that happens too. But there are things that sort of happen to us, or because we had to have them happen. And I mean, this stage of life, as you move into more flexibility and freedom, it allows you to be outside of your comfort zone and try new things. So explore it and go in with an open mind. We talked about the health as much as wealth. I'd say maybe more than wealth in some ways. And to really take a look at not just one area. So, let's say, that friendships are really important to you, but also interests might be like, you're very always been interested in travel, for example. So it's not just about the friendships. That look at all the areas and sort of try to look at being a well-rounded individual as you move forward. And if there's certain areas that you aren't interested in, that you consciously make a decision that you aren't interested in it. And the whole idea of investing in friends and family and community seem to, the research shows, people who do these, focus in these areas, do better, they're happier, being connected. So and we talked about the idea of avocation. So avocation could be, I like the word because it's not just a hobby. It could be something that is semi-work related. And avocation could also be volunteering. It could be something where you spent 20 hours a week with a particular charity, nonprofit, and help them out. So one of the things then I wanted to maybe just ask you all is what one piece of advice might you have moving forward based on your experiences in life? So now I just wanted to conclude by, I love this quote by Mary Jane Oliver, to tell me what you plan to do with your one wild and precious life. And it really is, as we all get older, we realize It's one wild and precious life. Even if you believe in an afterlife, you want to maximize the time you have on planet Earth, and feel good about it, and feel like you are doing what you can and being intentional about it. I have a lot of different resources and materials, and I'm always happy to share them. And I have a handout as well. I can make available. But I encourage you to take a look at what I provide, because I have an assessment tool that I use, which is fantastic to help determine your readiness to retire or move to a different stage, later stage. I also have an assessment tool which is helpful to looking at your strengths, and I provide workshops for uh, um, companies and other organizations for employees who are close to retiring. And of course, I also provide the individual coaching to help individuals as they move to this next stage in life. So important. So thank you very much for having me. I really appreciated it. And I look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thank you so much. Okay. Um, all the best, and have a great afternoon. Okay. Bye bye.